Welcome guys, got a really amazing experience to share with you today. Had a dive on the east coast of Tasmania in one of the most pristine spots in Tasmania and even perhaps Australia. There's no coastal development for tens of kilometres either side of this area. There's only four-wheel drive track in this spot, and it's actually a little bit too far for most commercial or recreational fishing most of the time. So it's really unspoilt, and it's a magical place. There's a little bit of swell today and there's a little bit of an onshore breeze, so it's a bit rough further out. I'm just in a protected corner here. It's fairly shallow, but the water's crystal clear and it's obviously a vibrant habitat, so I'm interested to see what's out there. As soon as you get in the water, you realise the clarity is so good you may as well be in air. Until you're looking a few metres away, it's just like looking through air. It's amazing. It's very weedy. There's a lot of bull kelp, which is amazing stuff. It's so strong that you don't really want to have to crawl through that all the time. So I'm sort of looking around, going across the shallower stuff to find where there's some patches with a little bit less weed and I can see through. I've come to some patches with a bit of what's called crayweed. It's a different type of seaweed and it's a little bit easier to manage than the bull kelp. It's called crayweed because people think there's more crays where there's crayweed. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but it certainly is easier to get through. So I'll go down and have a look underneath. It's nice bouldery habitat. There's definitely some gaps and spots for crayfish or abalone to be in, so I'll keep going and see what else I can find. When there's this much weed, it can actually be quite difficult to get through. You push your way down through it and then on the way back up it tries to rip your snorkel off. It's it's a bit of a mission, and if there's too much swell, just the amount of movement makes it quite hard. That's why I'm in the protected corner. It would be pretty difficult out front with this much weed. You can see here a broken off holdfast from the bull kelp. That stuff's so strong it can snap a 10mm rope. If you get your cray pot stuck in it, goodbye. Now the divers out there might spot this like I did. I sneak down and there is a little black lip abalone just on the edge of the rock. I didn't have a knife with me, but I managed to flick him off with my thumb. If you're quick you can get him off usually, and then I dropped him down the hole and had to spend a bit of time trying to get him back. But it was only a small one, so I ended up dropping it back in the hole, leaving it there. If it was a bit bigger though, it would have been coming home with me. I've got a license for them and they're good eating. And while I remember, don't forget to subscribe. There's going to be lots more videos of amazing locations in Tasmania. It's such a special part of the world. I'm looking in all the cracks under the rocks and under the boulders to see if there's any crayfish around. It's a bit shallow, and at this time of the year, especially with the water a bit warmer, they tend to be a bit deeper. But it's worth a look, you never know. You've got to be fairly systematic when you're doing this. You just check every crevice you can find. You never know when you'll find a cray. I've found them in 6 foot of water next to houses. You just don't know. come across a marble fish or kelp fish. They always seem to have their little den that they like to hide in, and they don't really want to leave it. They tend to dart around in circles when you come. There's an absolute abundance of these little colourful carpet stars on the rocks in here. They're quite pretty. They're a native. I'm coming to the edge of the reef now where it goes to sand, and the underside of the water looks amazing on these cloudy days. It's just such a weird mirror, just undulating. It's pretty spectacular really. I'm looking out to see if there's any squid, because they'll be hanging around right on the edge there where it goes to sand. They just seem to like it in that sort of space. A few more holes there that are Ray might be living in, but no luck today. The little wrasse that hang around on the edge of the reef as well are curious little things. They always come straight for you. In this location they seem to be even more tame than normal, so I stay nice and still and slow my breathing down, trying to frighten them away. As I come across the next section, all of the kelpies come straight for me. They all want to come and say hello. Funny little fish. So I keep my arms nice and still, go as slow as I can. They come in to have a look. A couple of little tiny sweep. Looking out on the sand just in case. Sometimes you'll see a flounder, and I have before actually just grabbed them with my gloved hands. You can actually hang on to them, so I do have a little look out on the sand when I come to it. I let out my air and just sink down a bit and let the kelpies come up and have a look at me. If you stay still enough, they'll actually come right up to you. And then I see a funny little fish down the bottom I start concentrating on for a second, and I almost miss a couple of luderick that come past quite quick. I haven't seen them in Tasmania before, so it's very interesting to actually see them. I'm heading into a shallow cove now onto the sand, and I see some yellow eye mullets, so I throw a little bit of sand up into the water to attract them in, and they come in and have another look. Well, no crays today, but that was a really nice experience and an amazing place in unspoilt wilderness. Clear water.